Hello, everyone. It's so good to see you tonight. Welcome to Lipedema Wellness Conversations with Gail. That's me. And friends, our friend tonight is Dr. Leslyn Keith. And I am so excited to have Leslyn here with me today. I rarely get to just visit with Leslyn. And as you can see in the title of the show, it says conversations. And so that's basically what we're going to do. We're going to have a conversation with each other and just talk about whatever comes out of our mouths. I see that we have Sarah. Hi, Sarah. She's here. And hi, Debbie. I'm glad to see you too. So, as I said before, our friend tonight is Leslyn Keith, Dr. Leslyn Keith. She's my friend and she's my colleague, and I have enjoyed working with her for about 3 years now. So, Leslyn is, but by my understanding, that's the way I look at it, Leslyn is a researcher. She is a certified lymphatic therapist. She also works um, very closely with Gunther Close
Mhm.
and teaches for him and with him. And actually, this week, she usually does a research update, and she's going to have to cancel that because she's going to be teaching a course. Um, and she started with Catherine when Catherine first started doing Lipedema Simplified. Leslie, would you like to discuss how that all started with you?
Sure. Yeah, that's a great topic because it was, I would say, a very propitious meeting. I mean, it's one of those things that you don't know it at the time, but it turns out that it really turned your life in a different direction because, we met. And Catherine, I know, has told this story many times, but it is pretty amazing what happened. That I did a small pilot study about using a ketogenic diet with my patients who had lymphedema and they were obese. And I wanted to see if we can have some nice group sessions, 12 group sessions, and help them lose weight. And then hopefully it would help them better manage their lymphedema. And so I did that small pilot study. It was fabulous. Everybody who used the diet did fabulously. But in the back of my head, I was thinking, well, there's some other conditions that I would love to see if doing lifestyle change, especially with a ketogenic diet, if it would help. And one of those conditions was lipedema. I was also thinking about Prader-Willi syndrome and some other conditions that I had worked with as an occupational therapist. And so I made a poster of the results of my study and took it to the NIH conference that was being held in Bethesda, Maryland in I think it was 2015. I took my poster there and put it up, and I told Bill I wanted to do other studies, and I wanted to look at these other things. And so he made a little, that's my partner, Bill. He made a little Post-it note. He wrote on it, help me do more research. Ask me how. And he just put that on my poster. And I, put that up there at the NIH meeting. And I'm standing next to my poster, and no one else is in the room with all the posters. They're, watching some presentations. I'm standing there just hoping someone will come by. And Catherine comes walking in, and she's looking at the poster. I don't know who she is. She doesn't know me. She's reading the poster and she's going, this sounds really good. Do you think it would work with lipedema? And it had already been in my mind. And then she says that, and I'm going, oh my gosh, yes, let's do this. So that, we just exchanged emails, and then like a year later, we started talking and doing stuff. And it totally changed, I think, not only what I'm doing, but it changed what Catherine is doing with Lipedema Simplified, because for a while, we really became immersed in ketogenic nutrition. And that's kind of like all we were talking about. And finally, people were telling her, there's more to helping lipedema than just nutrition. Maybe we should talk about some other stuff. And so she kind of goes, oh, yeah, I guess we should have more of a holistic approach. And so we have, again, turned, but for, I would say, at least 2 years, it was just really focused just on that nutrition, because it was so exciting that I weren't sure exactly how to guide people on using this specifically for lipedema, because most of the research had been for epilepsy and for diabetes. And so people were just kind of winging it and they were having success. And Catherine and our jaws were dropped, because, people were just doing it. So we've come a long way from there. But that one meeting, with Bill's little Post-it note, it just really started something off pretty wonderful.
Right. And it's quite amazing because since that meeting, you've written 2 books.
Mhm.
And I know that they're both with titles about lymphedema,
Well,
but
with
can
lymphatic
lymphatic
disorders. Yes. Yeah.
lymphatic disorders.
Yeah.
And when we talk about lipedema, we are always talking about the lymph system.
Mhm.
And I get in Facebook, I get a lot of people saying, "So what is it? Is lipedema a fat disorder? Is it a lymphatic disorder? Is it a connective tissue disorder?
Mhm.
What is it?" And I always have to say, "Well,"
Well, yes,
well,
it
yeah,
is. It is.
yeah. And,
Uh-huh.
we are always talking about, okay, take, deep breathing because we have to get our lymph in our bellies. We need to get it more activated and alive and worked, right? And I'm always just touching on the surface. I don't have all that information that's in your head. I just have what's in my head. But I know anytime I have a question about lymphedema or the lymph system or even lipedema, fat disorders or whatever, all I have to do is send you an email. And you'll go, "Oh, here's a study." And because of that, you have turned so many people's thoughts around, right? I mean, our whole community goes, "Oh, well, that's Leslyn."
Yeah.
You know?
Well,
She'll
and for the longest time, I was only one talking about ketogenic nutrition associated with lymphatic disorders. And now there's a few other people, but still, I think I'm the first person people think of when that comes up, because it's pretty rare. If you go to a lymphatic conference, symposium or something like that, they're talking about traditional ways of eating and dieting and stuff, low fat, low calorie, plant based. And so I think even now, after I've been doing this for now 7 years, talking about this, it's even now that people still look at me askance, like this is some bizarre fad thing that I'm talking about. I think it's slowly becoming more accepted, but it's still very much pushed aside. And no, let's not talk about that. That can't be good. So
Right.
it's a struggle.
It is, and that's the thing, we see you're working with it, and now we have Siobhan Huggins
Mhm,
working with you,
mhm.
doing research and compiling things, but we have some people who are in the lymphedema community, the Learn community, who are taking notice,
Mhm.
and because this year I've actually seen other, I guess they call them symposia
Yes.
from Learn about nutrition and lymphedema that
Mhm.
you didn't present,
Yes, it wasn't me. Thank you.
right? And
Yes.
I was really excited that it
Yep.
wasn't you
Yes.
presenting that.
Yes.
And not that not that it hurts for you to present it, but it's like there's another voice.
Yes.
And every voice that we can get talking about nutrition and lymphatic disorders and
Yes.
nutrition and everything. And so will you and Siobhan in your upcoming symposium, I guess they call them symposiums at
Yeah, it's a online. It's basically a webinar, or I think they call them symposia through Lymphatic Education and Research Network, or Learn.
Right.
Um, Siobhan and I are going to be presenting this Thursday, and we're not going to be talking about nutrition, interestingly enough,
Oh,
because we're trying to broaden our horizon and talk about more aspects of that holistic care for lipedema. And I'm the director of research for the Lipedema Project. And so we do have a research project we're working on right now called The Voices of Lipedema. And so Siobhan and I are going to actually be presenting the preliminary results from that project. And what's going to be so interesting is that the Voices of Lipedema, it's really we have some surveys that people filled out, and we have just all these videos of women sharing their experiences with lipedema. And so we're analyzing and compiling all the information from those sources, just from the women's own words. I mean, we asked them open-ended questions that, we didn't give them choices. We just let them put whatever they wanted in response to our questions. And so it's very interesting, and it's a totally different perspective from what you typically see, because this is just what women are saying about their experiences with lipedema. And so we're going to be presenting those preliminary results at this webinar symposia with Learn on this Thursday at 12 noon Eastern.
oh, that's a perfect time. 12 noon Eastern will be right after we finish our stretch class. Our
Oh,
Lipedema
good.
Simplified has a stretch class called Miranda. We call it Miranda.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, we do a stretch class every morning except Tuesday mornings during the week. And we'll finish it up. And so we all better register for that. We better look at our emails. Those of us who don't have it registered for it yet, I'm one of them, and register for that. And
Yeah,
if
please join us.
right, and if you don't have if you don't get an email from Learn, it's LE. This always cracks me up. Ampersand ampersand RN. That's
Yeah.
all it is, right?
Yeah, well, their website is actually lymphatic. What is it? Lymphaticnetwork.org is their website, but we did put the link in here for you to be able to register for this event. I would highly recommend to check out that website, because there's all kinds of information in there about lipedema and lymphedema. We've been doing these webinars for them once a month since June. And so this one, Siobhan and I are doing to close out the year. This is the December webinar we're doing. And please join us. I think you'll find it very interesting what the preliminary results of this project is. And I was just talking to Siobhan about it this morning, and she's going second after me, and after I talk, then she talks. And I told her, I just love what you're presenting, because it gives people hope. There is so much information in there, content sharing in there of experiences, and it gives people hope. So
Yeah.
please join us. I think you'll really enjoy it.
Yeah, and Debbie says, Debbie Williamson Sharrow, she says that she can't make it, but she's registered. So yes, you will be able to get replays.
Yes, yes.
Um,
And it takes them a couple weeks, but they do post every online symposia they've had at Learn. That it gets posted on their website, so you can see all the other ones we did previously this year, June through now, one a month, and you can see all those other ones as well as all kinds of other presentations they do. They do a couple a month, and so they're fabulous. So
yeah,
highly
and
recommend check it out.
I've done one with Catherine.
Mhm.
Lipedema Simplified is doing one a month for a year or something like that, and it's been absolutely phenomenal, because we get to talk about all the different topics within lipedema. Lipedema is like an umbrella topic, right? And we have all these topics. And so we have a couple of questions here, and I want to talk to Debbie. She says, how do you get the exercise class at 11 during the week, please? So one of the things that Lipedema Simplified has is a membership option, and we call it Tribe, and that's part of the Tribe benefit is to have, we do an online exercise class 5 days a week. We do it every day except Sunday and Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern. That's just one of the benefits of being a Tribe member. And so if you're a Tribe member, reach out to me. Um, um, Debbie, I see you you're on the CSIG with me this month, so I'll make sure that you get that link if you're a Tribe member. So we say, from Francesca, it says, "Hi, ladies. I don't know how to get in contact with you in any other way, but I have a question. Adiponectin. Lipedema fat is hard to access for energy because it's inflamed and fibrotic. And adiponectin is an anti-inflammatory and antifibrotic hormone. I've been reading all I can find on it, and I wonder if you have any interesting information on it. Thank you."
Oh, Francesca, I have to tell you that adiponectin is my favorite hormone. And one reason is because it is vital for lymphatic health. Your lymphatic vessels actually become leaky if you don't have enough adiponectin. And it's only one of the wonderful things that this does. It also it promotes insulin sensitivity. So your body becomes sensitive to insulin, and therefore you can lose fat. But sadly enough, adiponectin, your levels of that are lower when you are obese, when you have excess fat tissue. Now, what I don't know, and I don't know if this has been looked at sufficiently, is because lipedema fat is different, we have excess adipose tissue with lipedema. Are adiponectin levels lower for people with lipedema? So that I think needs to be looked at more. But you are absolutely right. This is a wonderful hormone. You do want to have plenty of it. It's your fat is healthier, and your metabolically you're healthier, and your lymphatics are healthier when you have the appropriate levels of adiponectin. So, and one of the best ways to get good levels of adiponectin is to carbohydrate restrict, to eat ketogenically. You will definitely improve and balance out your adiponectin if you eat that way.
So what you're telling me then is that if I lower my carbs, get grains and sugars out of my daily intake, and possibly lower the levels, get rid of the real sweet, sugary fruits and starchy veg, eat meat and fat and all that wonderful stuff, that my body will create more adiponectin?
Yes, your adiponectin levels will go back to the levels that they were previously, the more appropriate levels. It is interesting that, it's not an irreversible thing. When we become metabolically ill, and evidence of that can be shown in various different ways that you're not metabolically healthy. But when you become metabolically ill, you can reverse it, and your various hormones can return to the level that they were previously, and to healthy levels. So this can be done, and it seems to be very, very linked to the level of carbohydrate intake. And the lower your carbs, then the healthier you are, in all kinds of ways. But definitely that wonderful hormone of adiponectin, which, interestingly, adiponectin is produced by your fat tissue. That's what we call an adipokine. It's your fat tissue is actually an endocrine organ because it produces and excretes hormones. And one of those is adiponectin. And I think that adipokines or hormones that come from your fat tissue kind of have a bad name in general because you think, oh, fat tissue is bad. Therefore, anything that comes from it must be bad. And I always have to interject whenever someone says that actually adiponectin is wonderful. And that's one of the good things that our fat tissue does. And fat tissue is responsible for a lot of good things. So, I think it is a much maligned and or ignored hormone, and it is a very wonderful hormone.
Wow. And I know, some of us, well, here at Lipedema Simplified in the group, in the tribe, we talk about fat all the time. I mean, all the time, because it's a fat disorder, right?
Mhm, mhm,
And so one of the things that we were talking about during one of our schmooze, that's another thing. We have these schmooze times where we just visit. Um, One of the things that we were talking about was cryo cryotherapy
mhm.
and things like that. And one of our members brought up, if we're busy trying to pull our fat into a space and freeze it and stuff, we have to be damaging more than just the fat. And my brain says there's a reason we don't want to kill our fat,
Mhm.
right? Because it's why we already have a disordered fat, then we're going to kill it, then we're going to get scar tissue, and then we're going to, because our
Right,
fat's important.
right.
And so we want it to be as healthy as we possibly can get it,
Mhm.
right? We don't want to damage our fat. We want to make it as healthy and lovely, and yet those of us who carry this excess fat that's all fibrotic tissue wrapped around it and everything, we're so used to hearing society say, "Get rid of the fat, get rid of the fat, get
Right,
rid of the
right.
fat." And yet we're finding that the fat tissue is really important, and the healthier it can be, the better it is for us.
Mhm. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I'm not completely opposed to like liposuction and other ways of surgically getting rid of excess or diseased fat. I just prefer non-invasive means uh,
Mhm.
first or in conjunction with. I just saw a fabulous presentation by Dr. Alexandre Amado from Brazil, a surgeon, that he uses the ketogenic diet in his practice, along with recommending water, exercise, compression, and various things. Again, using a holistic approach. And he gave this fabulous presentation where he showed pictures that he had published in an article with several case studies of women who used a ketogenic diet and his other non-invasive means to manage their lipedema, and showed various pictures over several months of how they were getting better and better and better. And then
Mhm.
he said, well, here's the rest of the story. Here's this particular case. She did all this by changing her lifestyle, and then she had her liposuction surgery. And
Right.
after the liposuction surgery, she healed much better. They didn't have to draw off nearly as much fat tissue. And you could not tell that she had lipedema. There
Wow.
was, there was no post-surgical swelling. The skin looked perfectly smooth. It wasn't dimpled anymore. I mean, it was pretty spectacular outcome. And that's the difference between that person and someone who didn't do any lifestyle change and did just the surgery. The outcomes sometimes are not as good. You don't get as small as you would like. Maybe you get some swelling. Maybe your incisions don't heal as well. So it's a big difference when you put all these things together.
Right. And even we have Juanetta who says even if you have liposuction, you have to keep your eating straightened out,
Mhm.
and also compression. And there's so many things.
Yes.
It's wonderful that we have found that nutritionally we can slow or stop the progression with the conservative treatments that we do, and we have seen some who possibly have reversed so you don't reverse progression, but reverse some of this. Well, we reverse our symptoms and our
Mhm.
appearance, and so we have to remember that it's not a magic pill. None of these things are,
Mhm.
but they're very effective. And it's not all about weight loss, but it's really about the metabolic health and getting our fat cells healthier. And that's all metabolic.
Mhm.
And so that's one of the reasons that we always talk about the ketogenic way of eating. And one of the things that we have to remember also is it's not internet keto. That doesn't
Right.
mean that, just because it says keto doesn't mean we're going to do it. We're going to eat it.
Mhm.
But it's very specific in some of the modifications we make. Whole foods, um, as clean of foods as we can, 1, 2, 3 ingredient foods, and being very aware, more, it's not a diet. This is truly an intervention,
Mhm.
and a therapeutic way of eating, not
Yep.
not the whole, because you can look on the internet and find, you have to have, you know, 5% carbs and 20% protein and 75% fat, and women's women who are dieting, their heads go, they just explode, right? What are you talking about?
Mhm.
It's a more simplistic way of doing it, of eating in a more natural way, and I think that's where the ketogenic way of eating is so valuable, because
Yes.
it's actually the way we ate before the food industry took over.
Right. And that's what's happening with the whole keto revolution too, is that the food industry has found another way that they can make money. And so they are packaging various products and calling them keto, and they may or may not be keto. They may or may not really low in carbohydrate. They may still have sugar in them. They may still have ingredients that are inflammatory to you. And so, you know, I would be suspicious of anything that is packaged and that you have to read all these all these ingredients to, that maybe some that you're not even sure what they are. Shop the perimeter of the grocery store, go to your produce, your dairy, your meats, and stay to the outside of the store, and you're usually pretty safe with that. Um, it's the inner part of the store that has all those things that are packaged and have a 6-month shelf life. You don't want
Right.
things that can last on a shelf for that long.
Well, now wait a minute. There's a thing called a dill pickle.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
So then, when you, what does that called, ferment things? So
yes,
like yogurts and pickles and sauerkraut and things like that, then that's a different thing. And this is actually something that's old. This is something that is a traditional way. This is how we preserved food, was to heavily salt it.
right,
That preserved it when we didn't have refrigeration. So if you can do something that your great grandmother did, that's probably a safe thing to eat.
right, right. So we have 2 Debbies over here asking all kinds of questions, and I'm gonna touch on it. First of all, can we access Dr. Arnato's, is it Arnato?
It's Amato,
Amato.
Amato, Dr. Amato from Brazil. And probably the best thing to do would be to email me. You can see that posted there, Leslyn at lipedemaproject.org, and I can send you the article. He actually did a couple of really great ones
Yeah,
on lipedema care. I mean, it's astounding coming from a surgeon. Says, wait a
right.
minute, we don't have to do surgery. Let's try these other things. So yeah, I'd be happy to send those articles out.
Yeah, and then we have yeah, and Leslyn loves sending out an article here and there, and so everybody throw Leslyn some hearts. I know we have 41 people online right now, and I only got 3 loves. Come on, you guys, give us some loving. Um, so Debbie asked again, a couple here, and she says she can't wear compression stockings. She's sore all the time from them and very claustrophobic.
Yeah.
Now, me personally, I find that if I have to wear a lighter weight legging from midfoot to waist, I get a much greater benefit from that than wearing a compression that is so tight, I can't
Mhm.
get them up and down to go to the bathroom. My hands hurt from putting them on. They
Mhm.
start to just I get that claustrophobic feeling, and if they have
Yes.
toes in them, I won't wear them
Yes.
because I don't want my toes in a sock. I just don't.
Yeah.
They're not
Yeah.
happy there.
Yeah.
And I don't wear thigh highs and I don't wear knee highs because they cut in. So I wear high waist, which is just under my bra, down to my midfoot. I get them online, and that's how I started wearing them, and I love them because
Yeah.
they're
So what brand are you using, Gail?
I use CZ Zalis. They
Mhm.
have 2 different ones that I like. I like this they call them summer weight or lightweight ones. The
Mhm.
compression's 15 to 20, so
Mhm.
not a lot of compression. Or I wear what they call their cellulite slimming ones, and I'm medium tall, I'm 5'9". They're a little bit short on the leg, they go just under my heel, they don't go clear to the midfoot,
Mhm.
but, those are like 8 to 12 is the compression, although they feel stiffer to me than the, 15 to 20s.
Well, and they're textured fabric as well, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
and
and so that's what they call micro massaging, and so it makes you feel better while you're wearing them. So
right,
2 things to deal with the claustrophobia is 1, start with maybe not covering so much, and definitely start with a lower compression. And
right,
so, because I know that you had trouble when you did knee highs, high compression, then you got congestion of fluid into your thighs, and so
I
but
did.
you can always start with knee highs with a low compression and get used to that. And then you can start covering up more area, but stay with the lower compression. And then as you're able to, or if you need it, because you might not, then you can have the compression go up. But a lot of these companies like CZ Zalis, Bioflect, they have the textured fabrics. They're made for the lipedema shape, and they're not super expensive, and they're lower compression. I think that that's a good thing to start with.
Yeah, and, like, when that and I agree, for me, there are a couple of things that are really important to me. I have to be able to run to the bathroom and get those things
Yes.
down.
Yeah, you have to be able to, trust that you're
Yes,
going to be able to do that, because
yes,
otherwise you start dehydrating yourself and not drinking because you're
right,
panicked that you're not going to be
right,
able to do it.
right. And the other thing is I do not like to wear my leg compression underneath a pair of pants. I don't do well with that, so I wear my leg compression as my pants because I'm not gonna layer up, I just can't do it, my brain
Mhm,
can't get
mhm,
wrap
mhm,
my body, yeah. And so what I do is I get the colorful ones and the cellulite ones come in some pretty purples and, you
mhm.
know, greens and teals and silver, and I love it, and then I just wear a long tunic top over the top of them, and funky socks and slip on my little flip-flop shoes, and I'm off, right? But the thing is that's the only way I'll wear them. If I have to wear them underneath another pair of pants, I'm constantly fussing
Yeah. So,
and,
and
um
and and Winetta is saying that she lives in Alaska and layering is a way of life. So I'm wondering, I mean, in those cold Idaho winter days, you don't even like to layer for that either?
No, now on the top, like, I've got my sleeves on, so
Yes.
what I've discovered is a hoodie over the top's fine, but I have to wear short sleeves over my compression sleeves,
Yeah.
because if I have long sleeves, I'm constantly tugging at it unless it's a big sleeve like a hoodie,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Um, I just fuss on my clothes. Now, we've had some cold days and, we've been down to the single digits, the highs under freezing, below freezing. We've had a few cold days here, a week or 2 or 3 of them so far, you know?
Mhm, mhm.
It's cold and dry here, although we did get snow a couple of nights ago, we got about 4 inches. But, when when I buy my compression, I don't know if I buy it tight enough, but I buy it where I'll wear it. Because if I don't like my compression, I won't wear it. Simple as that,
Mhm.
right?
And you're not unusual. I mean, that's when I get patients coming to me and they've been labeled non-compliant because they're not wearing their compression garments. There's always a reason why. People are um, not following their physician's orders just to be ornery.
Right.
There's a reason why it hurts. It's too hard to get on. They're afraid they can't get it off to go to the bathroom. And these are the things that it becomes our job to figure out. Well, how can we get you compression that you will still, not be in pain and actually feel better and be confident that you can get them off in a reasonable amount of time and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
this means that you need to have a good healthcare provider that is going to work with you on that. And that actually brings me to another thing that I want to talk about that you alluded to, Gail, that I am leaving tomorrow to go teach a class for Gunter Close. This is for Close Training and Consulting, and it is a school training therapists to treat lymphedema and lipedema. And they become a certified lymphedema therapist at the end of this course. And I must caution people that just because someone has those initials after their name, CLT, it doesn't mean that they actually know how to treat lipedema. Matter of fact, there are a lot of graduates of other schools that don't know much about lipedema at all. And so I really urge people to consult with a lymphedema therapist, but one of the questions you want to ask them is, how much do you know about doing therapy for people with lipedema, and make sure they can help you. I know that when I teach my class, of course, we talk about lipedema a lot, and the graduates that come out of there are fully prepared to help you.
Yeah. In
So
fact in fact, remember the last year, oh, I shouldn't say last year, it was this year, but earlier this year,
mhm,
you asked me to come and get interviewed. I was just thrilled to be able to be part of the class, and by having women with lipedema come in and just, give their experience with things, just makes your class that much better,
mhm.
more practical. We do have another question here, and one of them says, how do we get compression that fits? And there are several places you can buy compression, and I'm a big one for Amazon, just simply because I can try it on, and if it doesn't fit, I can send it back.
Mhm,
Um, but there's compressionguru.com.
mhm.
There's
There's
lymph
lymphedemaproducts.com.
mhm,
There's lipedemaproducts.com. I mean, there's a lot of places you can get it, but I think the question is, how do you make sure that you're getting something that fits? And that's where another valuable resource is your lymphedema therapist, and being able to
right,
consult with someone. Sometimes your fitters at a medical supply store, sometimes they are very cognizant of all different products and how to help you size it and fit properly. If you have someone you can consult with, that's best. But if you don't, and you can go to one of these websites, they do have size charts. Some of them are just by height and weight. Others of them, they're going to require you to take your measuring tape and measure around at your ankle, it's what we call the least ankle, that area just above your ankle, the widest calf, and then the widest thigh. And if it's going to be a waist high garment, then around your waist. So you would take these various measurements. If you're going to do arm compression like Gail's doing, you usually got to take a measurement at your wrist, around your elbow, and then right up near your armpit.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can look at the size chart and figure out which one will be, hopefully you are in those parameters and you can try them out. But, using something like Amazon so that you can return it is very valuable, because a lot of times it's hit and miss,
And it also makes it so when I first started wearing compression, I bought a BioFlect stocking, toe to waist, right?
Mm-hmm.
And after having it on for 2 hours, I went into panic mode.
Yes.
So it told me that wasn't the garment for me. I folded it up and I put it back in the package, and I went to the UPS store and dropped it off.
Yes.
Right?
That's the bullet there. Yeah.
It was like, I can't do this. And then I bought a CZ Zalis. And when I did that, I'm like, oh, this is different. I like it. And so I thought, okay, I need to always wear CZ Zalis. So when I talked to one of our CLT coaches, one of our lymphatic therapy coaches, Veronica Rodriguez, and I started to talk about my arms, she suggested BioFlect. Now, I had tried BioFlect stocking and hated it. And I was like, oh. And so I ordered a pair of BioFlect. They're called a Bolero. So it has a big wide back band on it. So there's no circle here, right? It's a full piece that uses both arms. It's one long piece. And I was like, hey, this is good. And I put it on in the morning and I wore it until I went to bed at night. And all except since September 1st, all except maybe 3 or 4 days, I've worn them since I've gotten out of the shower, did my dry brushing, my massage, until I go to bed. They don't bother me. I love them. And they're BioFlect. Now, do they leave a pattern on my arm? Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Sure.
they do. But
You're supposed to.
Yeah, I'm climbing into bed. I got like bumpity dumpity arms. I don't care. But what's really cool about it is, since I've been talking about it, we've had a lot of the women give it a try, and many of our women that we talk to in Tribe will say, "Oh, I love them. I won't go without them anymore," because my arms used to feel so heavy, and they'd move on. Okay, they don't move on their own, but like I'd reach for something and I could feel the weight go swing.
Yeah, so like the water is sloshing around in there. Yeah.
Right. And then always right in there, I'd be like driving or something, and all of a sudden I just felt like someone just like gave me a Charlie horse in my arm. And I never really thought about it. But when I started working with the lymph drainage, with the dry brushing or the bulb massager, and supporting that work with the compression, they feel good. I mean, it has been decades since my arms have felt good. I mean, like, I knew they didn't hurt very much anymore, but feel good, that's a totally different story.
Yes.
So it's been fantastic, learning to wear compression on my arms. Now, it gets hot here in the summer. I might have to find something else to do about it.
But it's, I think that you're in a better place, that your arms are going to be healthier by the time summer comes around. Also, you will have adjusted to wearing compression, and you may find that it's easier. If you had started in June for the first time wearing compression, you may not have been doing as well as you are now. So I think the way you did it is good, and you're going to be, I predict, very successused.
Thank you. I'm predicting I'm going to be very successful too. I'm so excited. Because I used to think, Oh, I couldn't imagine, because I do know that so many people in our community have to wear compression. They have to, or they don't do well at all. And I used to think,
Mhm.
oh, I'm a lucky girl. I don't have to, right?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking now, I'm a lucky girl because I know how to wear my compression sleeves,
Yes.
and they feel great,
Yeah.
and I feel better. So, with all that said, there's a couple of things I still need to talk about, Leslyn. It appears that we could go on forever.
I know, but I think we want to talk about a special webinar that we're going to be doing coming up in December, and now I forgot the date, but I know you have it.
It's December 16th at
Oh,
1:30
which
East.
is Jane Austen's birthday, just so
Oh,
you
cool.
know.
Happy birthday, Jane Austen. Anyway, December 16th. It's a Friday, and it is at 1:30 p.m. Eastern. There, we are going to have a gathering. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. It's a webinar, but we're going to have a gathering, and it's going to be Catherine Seo, Leslyn, our very own Leslyn, well, our very own Catherine, Siobhan, the amazing Kelly Bell with his story. And if you heard us talking on Friday, Kelly kind of crashed the party. We invited him in and said, come on, boy, come in here because we want to talk to you about truncal lymphedema and also and other things and the way he handles his lymphedema personal treatment every single day of his life. And me, I'll be there too. And we're going to talk about traveling and some of the issues that come up with traveling, some of the techniques and strategies that we use to prevent and treat flares when we're traveling. We're going to talk about edema. We're going to talk about all kinds of stuff. And our very own Juanetta, who's in the audience right now, came up with the title, and it's preventative and emergency strategies for traveling. because
Thank you, Juanetta. Yes.
yeah, because Catherine had a flare on her last trip
Hmm.
and has been dealing with a lot of issues that our community deals with, that the
Hmm.
lymphedema community deal deals with. And not only that, it's and people with lymphatic issues.
Hmm.
So Catherine's like, we have to have a webinar. And that's how fast it happened. We were in a meeting, and later that day we said, hey, we're having a webinar. I just put in the registration link in the comments. So make sure that you register for that. It'll be a Zoom meeting, and it's open to the entire community, and we want you to be there. Um, if you happen to have gotten any information from this particular live broadcast at all, please make sure that you follow us in Facebook, you subscribe on YouTube, you hit the thumbs up or the heart, because the more that you respond to us in those ways, the higher we go up in our space, in our on the totem pole.
More people will find us.
More people will find us and share this broadcast. We had so much information with this, and if you can't share it from Facebook, go to YouTube, grab it, and share it on your personal page. Make sure that people are hearing about us. Make sure that people hear about everything that Leslyn's doing and that Learn is doing. Lipedema Simplified, Lipedema Project, because this is helpful to more people than you can even imagine. I post it on my personal Facebook page, and I get people saying, "Oh, is that what you're dealing with? I
Hmm.
deal with that too."
Yes. Yes.
Right? I
Yes.
deal with that too. So the more you can share your story, So this is something that I firmly believe, and this is where I get on my soapbox.
Mhm.
If all of us who have lipedema make sure that we get it put in our personal chart, our medical records, even if your doctor doesn't think you have lipedema or won't put it in your chart, somebody will. Maybe your physical therapist will put it in the chart. Maybe your, I don't know, your gynecologist, your whoever will put it in your chart for you. Once it's in the more people who can put it in their charts, get it in their charts, then pretty soon insurance companies will say, I mean, they know. Oh, look, lipedema.
Keeps
It
popping up. Yeah.
keeps popping up. Also, and then if someone were to say, well, not, it's rare. Ladies, we know this isn't rare, right? It's everywhere. We see it. It's like a red car. You buy a red car, everybody drives a red car. You
Mhm.
buy, you get a pixie cut, everybody has a pixie cut. So we know that this thing isn't rare. We know we've been dealing with this most of our, our adult lives. And we have to make sure that people are aware. But I think that's my personal soapbox. Everybody who, whether you have an official diagnosis or not, get it in your medical records. Even my dermatologist, I asked them the other day,
Mhm.
do I have lipedema in my records? And they're, oh yeah, you do.
Mhm.
I said, do you know what it is? And they're like, no.
Mhm.
I said, let's talk,
Well,
right?
and that's so interesting because in Germany and Europe, the dermatologists are the ones that are most involved in treating lipedema. How interesting. So it's good that you're educating our American
Right,
dermatologists.
right. So I think we all need to do that, because even like if you go to a dermatologist and and they're like, oh yeah, you don't have lipedema in your records, you say, oh, it's supposed to be in there. You know how we fill out that chart, we do updates, and they always have it says other. Put lipedema on
Well,
other.
now
So
that we
it's
have
in your
such
chart.
good access to our charts through our patient portal, and
Yeah,
you can add stuff. You can do it yourself. The doctor
right.
doesn't even have to make a note. You can put it in there.
Isn't that fabulous?
Mhm.
I know. And then they're going, oh yeah, you have lipedema. It's like, cool, because we know we have it. It's pretty obvious. You're right. The lumps and the bumps and I mean, we know we have it. So anyway, that's my soapbox today, Leslyn.
Thank you,
What's yours?
Gail.
If you have
And
one
I
thing,
think I think you may notice that even though the room that I'm in right now is called the sun room,
it's
the
getting
sun is going down, and I'm pretty soon I'm gonna be here in the dark. I do have a little bit of light in here, but it's gonna be pretty dark. Um, so I'm gonna have to sign off pretty soon because you're not gonna be able to see me, but it was wonderful being here with everybody today and the things that we talked about. I'm gonna sign up to join you again, Gail, because I think this is a
okay.
wonderful conversation to have, and I want to have more of them. Thank you for doing this.
Fantastic. And if you had one message that you would want to echo around the world, what would it be?
I think that the main thing that I've been thinking about lately is that there is hope. And when you first get that diagnosis, it is devastating. When you first learn about that's what's happening to you, on the one hand, it's devastating, even though on the other hand, you're so happy that you finally have a diagnosis. But the main thing you have to remember is there is hope. People are living full, happy lives with lipedema, and there is things you can do. And so there is hope.
Oh, Leslyn, thank you. And I always add to the end of it, you're not alone.
Yes.
You're not
Right.
alone. So
Yep.
have a wonderful day, night, day, morning, wherever you are. Thank you for being here.
Bye bye.